A lot of changes happen during the second half of life. Join Kash Mahmood, owner of Vargo Hospice and Home Health, and his guest as they explore topics to help you navigate the second half of your life. And now, here's Kash.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Second Half of Life with me, Kash Mahmood. Our very special guest today is Marcia Anderson with Aloma Home Care. Today, we will be talking about a fresh look at medications for Alzheimer's and where we are today. Marcia, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you? It's refreshing to be able to talk to you and talk about a topic that I know is on the minds of a lot of people because it impacts them. Yeah, I'm good. What about you?
Excellent. I'm doing great. I was thinking we dive right in. How about we start with you telling our viewers a little bit about yourself and what you do at Aloma Home Care?
Sure. My background is came from a pharmacist. I'm a licensed pharmacist, and I had the opportunity in working with the osteoporosis program, and we were really great at getting grants to the elderly for osteoporosis. But really, a lot of what the attention, these drugs take about 2 years to work, needs to be on what happens in that interim. And so I have been through some life experiences and taking care of my brother and taking care of my dad. Just been upfront and personal with this, as well as seeing it from my career perspective. So yeah, it's a topic that's near and dear to me.
Can you tell us a little bit about just Alzheimer's in general, the different stages of this disease?
Sure. If it depends on the body that you go with, either Alzheimer's can be staged. There's some bodies, organizations that stage it based on 7 stages, but I like the simplicity of doing a 3-stage. I think the Alzheimer's Association. It's usually mild, moderate, or severe. And in the mild stages, that's when we are dismissive that mom forgot something or the keys were forgotten. And in the moderate stages, we start to really see the personality start to morph a little bit, and their bladder and bowel issues begin to present themselves. And then we go to the later stages or Latin stages when we see things like mom is completely unable of swallowing, of taking care of herself, all of her activities of daily living. And dad, I sometimes say mom, but and dad, those are impacted, and they will need care pretty much constantly.
Wow. So we're in 2022. Do we have any medications that are any closer to a cure or even just effective treatment?
Now, what we have on the market right now are really those things that treat the symptoms. And we have really 4 drugs that treat the symptoms. We know that, just think of a traffic, right? Of when you're on the freeway, we know just a process of trying to remember where did I put my keys. It has to go through so much neuronal or nerve circuitry. And so anything that impedes that traffic either slows down everything else, or sometimes a recall does not happen. So as far as medication, everything is geared towards right now either slowing down, dealing with the transmission and the symptoms. But in June of 2021, we came out with the first drug that really tackles the real root cause of it. It was very controversial and still is. And one of the reasons it was because it was fast-tracked. We know that in terms of Alzheimer's, we see kind of 2 things going on. We have a plaque buildup, or we see these tangles that happen. And either case, if we can, we know that we see the disease presentation, that when we see more tangles, we see more symptomatic, and we see the decline. So the goal right now and clinically is to target these tangles and target specifically those plaques that build up that prevent the trafficking and eventually can kill the nerve.
Wow. So you mentioned earlier about, the 7 different stages of Alzheimer's, and for simplicity's sake, we can put them in 3 different stages. What about the disease progression itself from one stage to the next?
You
Do
know,
we have any drugs today that can slow it down?
yeah, that's that last drug that we talked about, aducanumab, and brand name is Aduhelm. That was the one that's on the market to control or the progression. This is the first disease-modifying drug, is what we call it. But interestingly, there are PET scans of people that have these tangles, that have these plaques, and don't develop the decline. So the
Really?
presence of these plaques and tangles in and of itself does not mean that you will eventually get Alzheimer's, dementia. We say dementia, let me just for clarification. Dementia is the super bucket, and Alzheimer's by far is about 60 to 80% of most of the dementia cases. So sometimes they use them interchangeably only because the big bucket of it is Alzheimer's. But yes, we have one drug, but the good news is we have 126 new therapies in this same kind of class, and 156 trials for these drugs. So it's a huge problem, and it's encouraging to see where the therapies are going.
Wow, that certainly is very encouraging. What are some non-pharmacological or non-medication interventions to help with this disease state?
It's funny that you said that, because we are trying to reduce or prevent this. We talked about the tangles, and we talked about the plaque and the toxicity. We're trying to reduce things that cause or drive it in a trajectory where it would lead to this disease state. So things like hypertension, reducing high blood pressure, reducing, increasing exercise, alcohol use, decreasing alcohol use to improve cognition. So there are things, and incidentally, exercise is one of the only things that can improve cognition, which is a biggest part of why we lose mom. And it also it helps to decrease this whole neuropathology pathway.
Okay. How can home care agencies help a loved one with dementia?
Now, we talked about the stages earlier, and the stages, I like the simplicity of mild, moderate, severe, because the need of the caregiver training that's specific to each stage will be different. So, for example, in the early stages, emotional support, companionship care, when mom loses her keys, or initially, those are the slight mood changes start to occur. When we get to the middle stages, that is where the 24/7 care really is important. We need a caregiver present for safety reasons.
Right.
So the all the activities of daily living are really focused, especially on the medium or middle stages. The latent stages are usually, I'll be funny, those are where we get home health, and we get the facilities, and eventually hospice involved, because when you start losing your bodily function and ability to talk or speak, emote, those latent stages, we need more intense focused care, and we know the sequence of this disease condition. Eventually, they become unable to do much about anything.
Right. And at every step of the way, it gets harder and harder for the families.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm glad you said that, because when we go in as a home care agency, one of the goals going in is education. We just talked about that, my care plan that I help these families come up with, the care plan that they tell me of what the needs are, the ones that we communicate to the caregivers will look totally different. And the education that we do with these families to kind of help them with their expectations. Mom will not stay in this middle stage. It will get progressively worse. And we are, we are empathetic, but we are also realistic and truthful with our families to tell them, listen, we're at the stage where you need to go to the next phase.
Right. Right. What other services can be provided at home?
Yeah, remember, a lot of people opt to stay at home because one, um, they have pets. That's a big deal. And so taking care of errands, running them around town, because our first client, it's funny you said that because our first client, the reason we came on board was mom got in the car, drove, and she had no clue where she was. And so it was scary to not just mom, it was scary to all of her family. So the intervention was to allow mom to go to places, all those places. Le Magdalene, she loves Le Magdalene. She loves going to the bookstore. Their love for these things don't change. But we start to see behavior progressively getting worse, but their personality is still there in middle stages.
Mhm. Marcia, how does someone get in touch with you or your agency?
Sure, they can pretty much, the info is on the screen. You can call our office 281-845-2466, or you can email us, or you can directly go to our website and you have the option. It's on the first page that says I need care, and we'll help you navigate because we have senior certified care managers that, like me, we educate you, and we're very honest about, is this a time for mom? If it's a latent stage, we have partners like you that help us to navigate through that space, but we are realistic and hold your hand through the entire process.
Hmm. Well, Marcia, I've really enjoyed having you on this show, and I can guarantee you this has been extremely informative for our viewers. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and you guys take care of yourself.